Welcome. This is the Miracle Magnet podcast, where we share stories of everyday, extraordinary humans realizing great things in their lives. I am your host, Laura Magahi, and I can't wait for you to listen and be inspired by these people who are turning pain points into positives and letting the good ripple out. Come learn and see how you too can be a miracle magnet. Welcome back to the Miracle Magnet podcast. We have with us today Floriane, and she is a miracle worker herself. She not only sings, but she writes her songs. She can play many an instrument, and she loves teaching it well. But this is not all. I'll leave some for her to share with you. Floriane, tell us a little bit about yourself so our listeners can identify with you.
Yes. Hello, everybody. So I'm Floriane and I'm a teacher. This is maybe the biggest activity for me. So I have been teaching students, young students, for I think 17 years. And now I did a big shift in my life. I'm still a teacher because I'm teaching music. I'm teaching choirs in Switzerland, but I'm also teaching a lot of different spiritual paths, like discovering the world of the plants, discovering the world of channeling, of shamanism. But basically, I'm a teacher, but the thing that relates all my activities is the voice. I'm using the voice in everything I'm doing.
That's beautiful, Floriane. So you can elaborate for us a little bit about this significant sort of shift in your life where you've been in one career, if you will, and you kind of shifted and pivoted and using those skills and talents to do what you're doing now. Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that sort of moment, that shift, and where you are?
Yeah, I was really happy as a teacher because teaching is something that is inside me. I really love it. But at one point, I was looking for the meaning of teaching. And I was teaching French, mathematics, everything. And when I was teaching mathematics, it wasn't coming from my heart. Even when I was teaching French, or I mean, something was missing, and I had the feeling that I wasn't useful enough for the children. So I started to be bored in my teaching, in my job, and also the fact that I was doing the same thing since 15 years. I started to be bored, and I wanted something new. I wanted something exciting. I'm always passionate by something new, so I wanted to learn, because at one point also, when you're always doing the same thing, you don't really learn anymore. So one of my friends quit his job just for 1 year. So I decided I could maybe do what he did, and he was teaching music. So I started to teach music, so it was something new. And then I discovered that when I was teaching music, it was like, I don't know, so much love coming from my heart. It was it was paradise again. So I was really happy to do that. And then I decided to quit, just to be 100% independent. And this was the major shift, but it wasn't that simple. Do you want to hear more about the difficulties?
Yeah, we definitely want to hear about the difficulty, because I think a lot of people could be in these moments where when they get really honest with themselves, they're thinking, I'm not quite happy. Something's not right. And like you suggested, you were looking for more meaning and purpose in life and fulfillment in the work you were doing and offering. And so I think some people could identify with that moment. You're doing one thing and you think you need to shift and do another thing. How do you get over that? Like, what are the challenges there?
The biggest challenge for me was security, because as a teacher, you have the security. You will always have a job, always. So to quit your job means that you have to face the challenge of being independent and find your own way of winning money. So you have no guarantee. And this was the major challenge, because I was just scared. I mean, how can I pay my rent? How can I just
Right.
live? It's even more difficult if you have children. This is not my case, but I mean, this is the biggest challenge. So the security was really difficult. So in my past, I decided to make the change step by step. So I
Mm,
reduced my percentage of activity. So then I was 80% and then 50% and then 0%. And it took me almost 5 years to make the whole change. But the biggest change was when I have to quit completely my job of teacher. And I remember this really special day. I really decided, okay, now I can't have one foot on the two different worlds. It's asking me too much energy. I have to focus in only one. So my heart wanted to go on being independent and do my own job,
right.
being my own boss. But it was really difficult. And the day I decided, okay, I'm going to be independent, it's going to work. It was the day where we learned that Ukraine and Russia would be in war. So it was
Mm,
the first day. And I remember my best friend called me and, oh, did you hear the news? There is a war really close to Europe. It might spread everywhere in Europe. So you shouldn't quit your job. The day I have decided to go and say, okay, I quit, he told me that. I was totally in panic. Okay, if there is a war, maybe have a really secure job will be better, etc., etc. So I decided to say nothing to my boss. I took one more weekend and I really decided in my heart, yes, I really want to quit because I'm not happy anymore, and I really want to create my life. I really want to create my own job. So finally, I decided to do it. So that's a funny story because you will have to face your own challenges. My challenge was security, so I had to face the challenge of security. And
yeah.
even today in my everyday life, it's not always easy because when you're 100 independent, sometimes you have a lot of things, sometimes less, and you have to face the differences. But I am so happy about my new life.
Well, congratulations, and I love it, and I think that's why I wanted you on here, Floriane, is to share this message and exactly this. Like, I think too, oftentimes there are these external circumstances. So we have our internal world of what we know is true deep down, but then these different things are always going to happen. Like you said, it's different for everybody, and whether it be a family situation, some dependence, other sort of more extreme events in the world, things like this that make us really question ourselves. But in the end, it is that deep trust, and I think a big one for me when I'm, adventuring in my entrepreneurial journey is reverence for life, and I really respect life. And so when I really want to honor this life to the fullest, it's like, okay, well, I have to start with me. I have to start honoring my inner world and myself, and then that will ripple out. The good will ripple out. So yeah, it's kind of an inward journey, isn't it? And really listening in and being committed to that, I think. And I think that's what you were. You were committed. You knew it, and you had to commit to it, no matter what what was going on outside of you.
Exactly. But the difficult thing is in the society where we're living, we're not educated to listen or deep feelings. We're not educated to listen to our bodies. And this is the most important thing. And when I was in the switch, my way of taking my choices, my way of thinking was my body. Okay, what do my body need? And my body needed definitely to stop running all the time because my life was running. I was running all the time, and the pressure, the stress was always overwhelming me.
Yeah.
So that was the most important thing to take my decision, listening to my body. And now in my new life, I can listen to my body every day. Sometimes the stress is still here and I have to run, but most of the time my days are just, yeah, a reflection of what my needs are.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And that's how you can communicate with your voice and your singing your songs, such joy and I think peacefulness. Floriane, you mentioned your previous work too, you wanted more aliveness. And I think that's something also I tune to myself is in making decision is, am I expanding? Do I feel excited? Or does that thing make me want to shrink and curl up and just hide, And I think when we listen to our bodies and notice how a certain situation is on our own person, I think that is a really good guide. Yeah,
Yes,
it's good.
exactly. For me, the thing was, before, in my previous life, it's not exactly
Yeah.
that, but in a way, uh, I was doing everything by obligation, everything. So that's the moment I lost the pleasure of life, the pleasure of teaching, the pleasure of everything, because it was an obligation. Right now, pleasure um, is bigger than obligation, and this is, I think, the most important thing we have to follow. Where is my pleasure in my everyday life? Because in the world, also in the society, we associate pleasure with having fun during the weekends or during the vacation, but this is not about life. If you're waiting for the vacation and the weekend, you're just not living. So in my everyday life now, it's not only pleasure, but I have so much pleasure, because everything I'm doing, it's because I really want to do it.
Yeah, it comes from within. Um, Living in the moment and really appreciating each moment is super important. And so I love that you brought in that sort of joyfulness, and that we should be experiencing that joy and pleasure on a regular basis, not just on allotted times. Floriane, you mentioned that you sort of gradually reduced your work schedule as a teacher, and then that enabled you to sort of make a bigger leap when it was time to really fully jump into your new self. What were you doing to build up your business, your new business? What were you doing in those sort of 5 years? Were you developing new habits? Were you learning new things, new courses? Tell us a
Yes,
bit about that.
yes, exactly. I had a foot in so many different things at the same time. I had my ancient job, I had my new job. So I started doing choirs, teaching choirs for adults during the evening. So I had my work during the day, my work during the evenings. And at the same time, I wanted so much a big switch in my life that I decided to make some courses to learn more about all the things that I was passionate about. So
Mhm.
I did a lot of different courses just to learn more. But even if it wasn't to change my job, I was just passionate about everything. So I learned and I learned and I learned and again and again and again for like many months, many years. And then it was just filling my new teaching, my new job. It was also filling my ancient jobs. But yeah, the direction was clear. I wanted more spiritual paths in my teaching. So yes, definitely it helped me going to that direction.
Yeah, being curious, I think, is one of the most important attitudes we can have in life. And, to recognize that none of us, we're never done learning, and that we can always learn something more and new, and that to follow those, curiosities, those questions we have, and to keep inquiring. Floriane, how has your manifesting journey now? So I say you've manifested this sort of new self. How has that event changed your life?
Wow, that's a difficult question because it's changing everything. The perspective of who I am, the way I'm thinking about me, the way I'm living my everyday life, everything is changing. Even the people that are in my life now, it's only things that I choose because yeah, I can choose everything. So the pleasure is so present in my life that everything is just pleasure. I have the feeling that I'm not working anymore, and it's sometimes it's even I feel guilt because sometimes I have the feeling I'm not working. Yes, I am working, but I have so much pleasure that I don't have the feeling I'm working. So yeah, it's changing everything because I really have the feeling that I am exactly where I have to be, and I feel useful. Before, I felt I was a bit useful, but not as much as I wanted. Now, I feel completely useful. And I feel
That's so beautiful.
um, fulfilled, rempli. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
fulfilled. I
yes,
feel fulfilled
yes.
and nourished because everything that I'm doing is so much aligned with what I think, with my values, and with the new world I want to see around me. Because before, so many things I was against. I mean, it wasn't my own values. So now I'm only doing things that I think I wanted to share with the next generation.
Oh, that's beautiful, Chloe. There's so much goodness in there. So re-listen to that. But I think you were clear. You had a lot of clarity in how you wanted to, in your values and your beliefs, and how you wanted to create your new normal.
Yeah, the thing was, it wasn't that clear at the beginning. Now it's very clear, but it took me like almost 5 years to be completely clear about who I am, about what I'm going to do. And the the advice I would share with everyone who would like to do this switch is, it's completely obvious. What you are is obvious. It's already in your life, but sometimes just can't see it. And that's why the people around you are so important, because they're gonna be like a mirror. They're gonna reflect what you are. And it took me like almost 5 years to really understand that music, like the voice, was the most important thing in my life. But it always has been there. It wasn't my job, but it always has been there. So it was difficult for me to understand that that was it. That was the sparkle of beauty and the sparkle of
Hmm.
love that I had inside.
Oh, that's so beautiful. The sparkle. To recognize the spark. I think that's where a lot of this inner work kind of comes from, of what makes me come alive, what makes me feel good and feel joy, and that awareness of yourself in all these different situations. I close up, or this, I feel great. And to recognize that those are significant, and yeah, that's a good point, Floriane, for people to remember. And I like to say too, like, these ideas that we have, as we're all creative, we're all imaginative. So to recognize too that our ideas that come through us, and creations, that's the spirit. This is big energy working its way through us, and that is each our gift. That's where we're all unique, and we can all help and contribute, and in our own special ways. Love that. So you mentioned about your community, having the people around you that really reflect and mirror your values and your passions. Florian, tell us a little bit about some of your work. So if some of our listeners wanted to engage in any of your offers, like what is maybe the core principles of your work, and then I know there's something about the voice, and then maybe a couple offers. So if somebody was looking and they were interested, they can
Yeah.
take a look.
Well, I have psychic abilities since I'm a little girl, so I have I can easily feel the people. I can feel their pain. I can feel their emotion. I can feel everything. So my path was to heal myself first, and then guide people to find their own ways of healing themselves. And I'm using the voice to do that, because every time I'm singing, something very very special is happening. It's like I'm uh, traversé.
Um, Transmitting or
Yeah,
passing
I'm
through?
transmitting something that is above me. Like it's a kind of energy that is going through me, and that is a healing. It's a kind of healing. So I'm using this during my individual sessions, but I'm also doing it collectively, because I'm teaching choirs, but it's more than choirs, because we're using mantras and very powerful kind of songs, ancestral songs coming from all over the world. And the power of the words and the power of the voice, when they are combined together, is just a very powerful way of healing your emotion, healing your mind, healing everything, and even your body. So basically, I'm just guiding people to find their own way and to find peace in the self.
It's beautiful. A lot of the work I do, Florian, too, is with repeating affirmations. And so they say when we are repeating it to ourselves, and so it would be similar to a song or a mantra, but there's actually the internal vibration that resonates deep within you, and that has to stir up this, emotion, and different things that want to come to the surface.
Exactly.
Is that?
Everything in life is about sound. When you're listening to the birds, that now we have a lot of scientists that prove that the song of the birds are helping the plants to grow. Everything is about sound. Even in the Bible, in the very sacred books, they talk about the sound as it's the source that creating life. So
Mm.
everything is about sound, and we can do so many things with the sound and with our own voice.
Floriane has a very beautiful voice, an angelic voice, so you have to at some point listen to her. Floriane, I love that. I love all your offers, and I can't wait to participate in one soon. Um, Floriane, why should somebody then be interested and sort of inspired by your story of manifesting and transitioning in so far as your career?
Huh, that's a difficult question too. um, well, I don't know. I think what the characteristic of my story is love, because I've been following the path of love. Everywhere I feel there is so much love, I'm just going. And this is what I feel the society needs more, because we're losing the essence of the life. And for me, the essence of life is love. So I see so many people around me that are sad of living their own life, and sometimes they don't even want to see it. But yeah, when you start losing the pleasure in your everyday life, it's a lack of love, and I feel that we are living in a world where there is a lack of love. So this is what I want to do. I want to share love. I want to share the beauty of the life through my different activities.
That's beautiful. And let the good vibrations, the loving vibrations ripple on out. And I know you're doing that. Thank you for being that example. Do you have a specific piece of advice that you could give somebody who was having these, again, these sort of thoughts inside that, something's not quite right. I want to make a shift, and any piece of advice for them to make that shift?
Yeah, my advice will be you need to have faith, because sometimes your mind wants to go in one direction and you're pretty sure this is the good direction, but finally the life will always find a way to find you or to guide you where you have to go. So faith has been le moteur. It has been the direction for me that helps me. And even if you're doubting, even if you're scared, because sometimes you're scared, if you find in yourself a little bit of faith, it will help you so much just to let go and to face that life will find you.
That story, Florian, is a beautiful example of that, is having faith. And that's, we can see faith and trust in the universe and in different ways out in nature, the natural world, but we can certainly see them also with people, just sort of, I like to call us everyday, ordinary people who are doing great things, because we're just like, everybody else, except that we are really, attuning to our inner voice and going for it. So I think you can find trust and faith in the stories of other people as well. So
Exactly.
thank you.
We're all the same. We all have the same potential. We just have to have the courage and to have this faith to really, yeah, manifest everything we deeply want.
I love it. I love it. And I know too that when you're in that vibration, so when you are already sort of you do your choir practices and different singing exercises, etc., you're already in that vibration, and that those events, opportunities, learning opportunities, people, they are drawn to you because you are vibrating at this certain level. So I think it's really important to get your foot, one foot in front of the other and start learning and taking action. Yeah.
Exactly. Mhm.
Fantastic. Florian, do you have a quote or a mantra maybe, or a song that really inspires you to sort of, if you do have these moments, we all have them, that, something holds you back. Do you have something that helps, keep you level headed and empowered?
Well, I have so many, it's difficult to choose, but I have been created one mantra to help manifest everything you really want. It's a really powerful song with a drum, just to say, it's in French, but sur la toile, because le tissage, I don't know the name in English, but it's the way of, it's knitting, I
Knitting?
guess. This is the word. It's a shamanic word to say when you really want to do something, you first have to feel it inside. You have to think about it. You have to dream it. It's a question of dream. But dreaming is not only about the night; it's also during the day. So this song is about that.
Off, I would love to know how our listeners can hear more from you and participate with you. Do you have a website, or are you active on social media?
Yes, I have a website which is called La Voix d'Avalon, like the voice, Avalon's voice, La Voix d'Avalon. And I'm also on social media, Facebook, Instagram. It's always the same, La Voix d'Avalon. I even have a YouTube channel where I put my songs and the work that I'm doing with my students. It's always La Voix d'Avalon.
Okay, Floriane, wonderful. We will link all that below so our listeners can find you. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful, beautiful example of manifestation and believing and trusting and honoring that truth that is within you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you ever so much for tuning into this recent episode of the Miracle Magnet podcast, where we aim to inspire everyday people to be extraordinary in their own lives, in their own ways. You can continue this good magnetism by forwarding this podcast episode to a friend whom you think might benefit, or perhaps even share with us your very own miracles.